My name is Juanita Lehman, and when my phone rang 6 days ago, displaying a number I didn't recognize, I had no idea it would be my mother. Her voice trembled when she said my name, as if tasting it for the first time in years. 6 years, to be exact. 6 years since she last spoke to me. 6 years since she chose my sister's happiness over my heartbreak. 6 years since everything I thought was mine was handed to someone else, wrapped in a cruel, twisted sense of family unity. But before I tell you what my mother begged for on that call, I need to tell you how it all began. How I lost a fiancé, a sister, and an entire family in a single night. Jason Hale and I met in college. 5 years together, 5 years of plans. Little ones, big ones, the kind that carry you through the hardest nights. He was my calm place, or at least that's what I believed. When he proposed, he did it with a quiet smile and a trembling hand, as if loving me scared him in the best way. He told me he wanted a lifetime with me. I felt like the luckiest woman alive. He even planned a surprise engagement party. My mother cried tears of joy. My father kept patting Jason on the back. My sister Emily, just 26 then, kept hugging me and saying she was proud of me. I didn't know that pride was just a mask. I didn't know everything I loved was already slipping out of my hands. Around 10 p.m. that night, I stepped outside to the backyard. The signal was better there, and I wanted to call Emily, ironically, to tell her how happy I was. That's when I saw it. Emily, Jason, kissing. Not a drunken mistake, not a moment of weakness. It was hungry, familiar, like they had done it many times before. For a long second, I couldn't breathe. My entire body froze as if cold water had been poured over me. They didn't even notice me. I was standing right there, shaking, staring at the two people I trusted most, fused together in a betrayal so deep, it didn't feel real. When they finally saw me, they separated so fast it was almost clumsy. Emily's lipstick smeared, Jason's hands still tangled in her hair. Juanita, wait, but I couldn't. I ran. I don't even remember getting into my car, only the sound of my heart pounding and the taste of metal in my mouth as I sped toward the first hotel I found. That night, I cried until my eyes felt bruised. I couldn't reconcile the images in my mind with the life I thought I had. I kept whispering, no, this isn't real, as if saying it would change something. But then Emily texted, I'm sorry, I didn't want you to find out like that. I love Jason. She admitted it had been going on for a long time. My sister, the girl I shared clothes with, secrets with, bedroom whispers with when we were little. She took the person I imagined building a future with. Then Jason texted too. He said he proposed to me because he hoped commitment to me would fix his feelings for Emily. But instead, his love for her grew. I sat there in that hotel bed, staring at the screen, feeling like the world had decided to play the cruelest joke on me. I wasn't a fiancé. I was a placeholder. 4 days later, numb and hollow, I went home to gather my things so I wouldn't lose my job. What I found when I opened my front door shattered me all over again. My entire family was inside my house. My mother, my father, aunts, cousins, even Emily and Jason, standing together like a newlywed couple receiving guests. They rushed toward me, pulling me into hugs, touching my face, saying how worried they were. Emily hugged me too, tears in her eyes, but a smile on her lips. Jason stood behind her, silent but comfortable, like he belonged next to her now. I just stood there, unable to speak. It felt like I had walked into an alternate universe. When the noise finally settled, I took a breath and forced the words out. I'm only here to pack my things. I'm leaving. The room shifted. Emily's smile faltered. Jason stiffened. But then, my mother spoke first, almost cheerfully. Well, sweetheart, we can't change the past. Emily and Jason are together now. We just have to accept the future. I stared at her. The future? Of course, she said. They love each other. Isn't that what matters? My father nodded approvingly. Emily squeezed Jason's hand. I felt my heart crack again. I asked, why are you all smiling? She cheated with my fiancé. She took the man I planned to marry. My mother sighed as if I were the unreasonable one. It was wrong, she said. We all agree it was wrong, but sometimes life leads people where they're meant to be. I felt dizzy. Emily whispered, I wish I'd told you differently, but I couldn't help how I felt. Then Jason added, we didn't want to hurt you. And right there, as if to seal their new reality, they kissed. Right in front of me. My mother started crying, but not for me. She wiped her tears and said, they're meant for each other. Juanita, don't be selfish. Be happy for them. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. They weren't comforting me. They weren't angry at Emily. They thought I was the problem. The selfish one. The child. The obstacle to their perfect family narrative. I grabbed my suitcase without another word. Tears blurred my vision, but I refused to let them fall until I was in the car. As I walked out, they called after me, not to apologize, not to stop Emily, but to keep me from making a scene. That was the last day I spoke to my family. The night everything broke. 5 years. 5 long, silent, strangely peaceful years. That's how long it had been since I walked out of my parents' house, suitcase in hand, feeling like a ghost, floating away from a life where no one truly saw me. I built a new world far away from them, quietly, carefully, brick by brick. Career, stability, a home that finally felt like mine. People often talk about healing as if it's a gentle sunrise. For me, it was more like learning how to breathe again after almost drowning. I didn't block my family, not yet. I let them watch, let them see my promotions, vacations, achievements. A small part of me wanted them to witness my happiness without them. Call it petty, call it justified. Maybe it was both. But 5 days ago, around 8 p.m., my phone rang. A number I didn't know, an area code I recognized all too well. I should have ignored it. I should have let it go to voicemail. But I didn't. I answered and heard my mother's voice. Juanita, please don't hang up, please. Her voice was cracking, desperate, nothing like the decisive woman who once told me to accept the future while celebrating my sister's betrayal. For a second, instinct took over. I almost hung up. But something fragile inside me froze. Maybe pity, maybe curiosity, maybe the remnants of a daughter who once wanted her mother to choose her. I stayed quiet. She took that as permission to continue. Please, just listen for a few minutes, she begged. It's about Emily and Jason. The mention of their names felt like ice dripping down my spine. My mother explained everything in a trembling rush. Emily and Jason had launched a business 3 years ago. A big one, ambitious, with investors and staff and loans. It failed, completely. Investors pulled out. Bills piled up. They were drowning in debt. A mountain so steep they couldn't even afford basic groceries. Then she said the number. $75,000. They needed $75,000 to settle immediate debts before things got dangerous. I stayed silent. My mother, misreading my silence as sympathy, pushed harder. You're doing so well, Juanita, she said. We see your posts, your vacations, your new car, your job promotions. You have the means to help. There it was, the truth behind the sudden interest. Not love, not reconciliation, desperation. Emily didn't want me to call you, she continued, but we have no one else. No one else. The words stung, not because I wanted to be included, but because they still thought of me as an option, as a resource, as someone who should fix the consequences of choices that broke me. Why didn't she call me herself? I finally asked. My mother hesitated. She's ashamed, she whispered. She didn't want you to know they failed. Failed? How poetic. The girl who couldn't help her feelings. The soulmate my family celebrated. The relationship they wanted me to smile through. And now they wanted help. They wanted my help. No, I said quietly. I won't help them. My mother inhaled sharply. What? Juanita, you can't be serious. This isn't about the past anymore. It's exactly about the past. That was 5 years ago. You need to grow up and let it go. Let it go. Funny how people who benefit from your pain always advise forgiveness. I felt something hard and cold settle in my chest. My sister betrayed me, I said. Jason betrayed me. And you celebrated it. You told me to be happy for them. That's not fair. It's perfectly fair. You're being cruel, she snapped suddenly. Heartless. I raised you to be better than this. I almost laughed. Better than what? Better than expecting loyalty? Better than wanting to be treated like a human being? I said nothing. She kept going. Emily and Jason could lose everything. People are coming after them for money, Juanita. If you don't help, then they'll face the consequences of the choices they made. My mother gasped like I had slapped her. I never thought you'd become this kind of person, she sobbed. So cold, so selfish. For a moment, I felt something twist in my chest. An old, injured instinct begging me to bend, to please, to fix things. But that instinct had saved no one, not even me. I'm done, Mom, I said softly. I'm not responsible for their mess. And I hung up. The messages started immediately. Long paragraphs, voice notes, tears, insults, guilt, manipulation. Every hour, every platform. At first, I read them, then I didn't. Finally, I blocked her. Then my father, then Emily, then Jason. All of them. Silence washed over me like warm rain. Not peace, not yet, but relief. A relief I had denied myself for years. For the first time, I felt like I had closed a wound instead of reopening it. But I didn't know that something darker was on its way. Something that would come right to my front door. I had barely settled into the quiet that came after blocking my family when my phone rang again. This time from my neighbor, Mrs. Carver. Her voice shook. "Juanita, there's a couple outside your house. They've been yelling your name. They won't leave." A cold shiver ran down my spine. "Did you see what they look like?" I asked. She hesitated. "It's a woman with brown hair and a man. Tall, maybe early 30s. They look upset. I think it's your sister." My stomach dropped. "Emily and Jason." Of course it was. "Juanita, I don't trust them," she whispered. "They've been out here for almost an hour." I thanked her, promised I'd come home immediately, and hung up. My hands trembled on the steering wheel as I drove, not out of fear, out of disbelief. After everything, they had come to my house. My house. The one place that had always been mine and mine alone. When I turned the corner onto my street, I slammed on the brakes. They were trying to pick the lock on my front door. Jason crouched low, working the doorknob aggressively. Emily stood behind him, pacing, crying, occasionally pounding on the door like a trapped animal. I stepped out of my car, heart pounding. "What do you think you're doing?" They spun around. Emily ran toward me, mascara smeared, desperation in every movement. "Juanita, we just want to talk," she pleaded, grabbing for my arm. I yanked it away. "You don't break into someone's house to talk." Jason stood up slowly, his eyes hollow, exhausted, and edged with something darker. When I reached for my phone, Jason moved fast. Too fast. He knocked it out of my hand with a sharp flick, and it hit the concrete with a crack. Fear surged through me. Not panic, not yet, but something colder. A realization that these were no longer just two people who hurt me. They were unstable, cornered, desperate. "I'm calling the police," I warned. Emily lifted her chin, eyes flashing. "Go ahead, maybe then you'll finally stop acting like a victim." I stared at her. "A victim? You cheated with my fiancé?" "That was 5 years ago," she screamed. "Are you seriously still stuck on that? You always make everything about you." Jason stepped closer, his posture tense. "You know we need help, Juanita. Don't pretend you don't know why we're here." I took a step back. Emily wiped her face roughly. "We sold the house. We sold everything. We're scraping by. We don't have anywhere else to go. Mom said you're doing great. So why are you being so dramatic about helping us?" I almost laughed, or cried, maybe both. "I don't owe you anything," I said calmly. "Nothing. Not after what you did." Emily's face twisted. "You're unbelievable," she hissed. "You'd rather watch your own sister starve just to satisfy your ego." I said nothing. Then Jason spoke, and his words chilled me. "You're going to help us, one way or another. You're going to sign something, just a promise, that you'll give us money whenever we need it." I blinked. "A promise?" Emily nodded fiercely. "A contract, something in writing. That way you can't back out." I stared at them, stunned. They were delusional. "That wouldn't even be legally valid," I said. "And I'm not signing anything." Jason's jaw tightened. Emily stepped forward and shoved me. Hard. I stumbled backward, catching myself just before hitting the ground. For one dangerous heartbeat, rage surged in me. The animal instinct to shove her back, to scream, to let years of pain explode all at once. But then clarity hit like ice water. They were already unhinged. Anything I did would give them exactly what they wanted. I swallowed the fury crawling up my throat. Without a word, I turned, grabbed my fallen phone, and sprinted to my still-running car. I slammed the door shut, locked it, threw the car into drive, and sped away. I didn't look back. Only when I reached the main road did I call the police. I told them everything. The break-in attempt, the assault, the threats. 20 minutes later, I pulled back onto my street. 2 police cars were already there, lights flashing silently in the dusk. Emily was screaming. Jason was handcuffed. Officers were speaking to neighbors. I stepped out of my car, and one officer approached me. "Are you Juanita Lehman?" "Yes." "Your statement matched what several neighbors witnessed. We're taking them in for trespassing, attempted forced entry, and assault." Emily's voice rang out across the yard. "Juanita, you did this! You're tearing this family apart!" I didn't respond. I couldn't. I watched as the police closed the doors and drove away, leaving behind a quiet street, a cracked phone, and a heart that felt strangely steady. Not healed, not triumphant, just steady. For the first time in years, I felt truly protected. Completely alone, but safe. Hours passed. No texts, no calls, no messages from my parents. Nothing. A silence so deep it felt like a season changing. Something had shifted. But I didn't know then that the next knock on my door wouldn't be from Emily. It would be from the two people I once prayed would protect me. A week passed. 7 full days of silence. No calls, no texts, no frantic messages from unknown numbers, no sideways apologies, no guilt-drenched voice notes. For the first time in years, life felt still, like someone had finally stopped shaking the snow globe I had been trapped inside. I thought that was the end, that the arrest had sent the message my family never cared to hear before. I wasn't going to be their punching bag anymore. But yesterday morning, around 9 a.m., there was a knock on my door. A soft knock, not frantic, not angry, almost fragile. I looked through the peephole and felt my breath hitch. It was my parents. My mother and father, standing on my porch, older than I remembered, shoulders slumped like the guilt had finally weighed them down. For a moment, I didn't want to open the door. Not because I hated them, but because I knew that once I let them in, once I heard whatever they came to say, something inside me would shift again. I needed a minute, just one. Then I opened the door. My mother stepped forward first. Her eyes were red. She didn't wait for me to invite her in. She just walked straight into the living room and broke down crying. "Juanita," she sobbed, "I'm so sorry." My father closed the door gently behind him. He didn't touch me. He didn't rush. He simply stood there with a face twisted in regret. Everything about them looked different, like the years had finally caught up, like they had been forced to face a mirror they'd avoided since the night Emily and Jason kissed in my backyard. My mother wiped her tears, but they kept coming anyway. "We were wrong," she said. "We were wrong about everything." I said nothing. I let her talk. "You should have been the one we protected," she continued. "Not Emily, not Jason. You were the one who was betrayed. You were the one who was hurt, and we left you alone." Her voice cracked on the last word. My father stepped forward then, clearing his throat. "When we found out Emily pushed you," he said quietly, "and that Jason tried to break into your house, something snapped. We realized the people we defended, violently defended, weren't the people we thought they were." He swallowed hard. "We cut ties with them." That sentence hit me like a strange shockwave. My parents had finally chosen me over Emily. But it was years too late. My mother sank onto my sofa, covering her face. "Juanita, baby, I don't know how we let it get this far. We thought we were keeping the family together. We thought—" She choked on the rest. My father finished for her. "We thought your pain was less important than keeping peace." There it was, the truth, ugly and honest. I sat down across from them. "I'm glad you apologized," I said softly. "I am, but you have to understand something." My mother looked up, eyes wet. "I don't have it in me anymore," I continued. "Not to fix this, not to rebuild. I spent years mourning a family that never mourned losing me." My father nodded slowly, absorbing every word. My mother's lips trembled. "But we're your parents." "You were," I whispered. "But you weren't when I needed you most." A heavy silence filled the room. Not sharp, not angry, just final. They came here expecting a bridge, but some bridges, once burned, become ashes too scattered to gather. My mother cried harder, but she didn't argue. Maybe for the first time she understood I wasn't punishing them. I was protecting myself. After a while, my father took a deep breath. "If we can't fix this," he said gently, "can we at least stay connected, even a little? Not close, not intrusive, just there." My mother nodded desperately. "Please don't block us again, Juanita," she whispered. "We won't ask for anything else. We just want to know you're safe, alive. Okay. Even if you never want to see us again." I looked at them. These two people who had once been my foundation, then became the fault line that split my entire life in half. And after a long, painful moment, I nodded. "I'll unblock you." My mother exhaled like she'd been underwater for months. My father closed his eyes, relieved. It wasn't reconciliation. It wasn't forgiveness. It was simply the smallest door, cracked open, not wide, just enough to let the past sit quietly outside without breaking in. When they left, my house felt empty again, but not heavy, not suffocating, just quiet. I walked to my phone, opened my settings, and unblocked my parents' numbers. Not because they earned it, but because I finally understood something. Healing doesn't always mean rebuilding. Sometimes it means letting go without hatred and walking forward without looking back. I stood by the window, watching my parents walk to their car, two shadows shrinking across the driveway, a chapter closing gently without slamming. And for the first time in 6 years, I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt,